That's exactly what I'm saying, because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their attention, and they're not as talented, and we're not putting the best team out there.
I have no idea how these WNBA analysts think. What actually goes through their brain? How can ESPN employ these people? To talk about WNBA and display these kind of opinions, Molly Qerim, a well-known ESPN host, ignited a significant controversy in the sports world with her remarks regarding Caitlin Clark, one of the rising stars of the WNBA. Her comments on live television not only sparked outrage, but also triggered a widespread debate about how female athletes, particularly in the WNBA, are perceived and analyzed by the media. Qerim suggested that players like Caitlin Clark, despite drawing massive attention and viewership, were ultimately a mockery of women's basketball. According to Qerim, Clark's presence in the sport was more of a marketing gimmick rather than a reflection of her actual talent. This bold claim quickly stirred emotions among fans, analysts, and players, many of whom took issue with Qerim's assessment. In a league where players constantly have to prove their worth and battle for recognition, downplaying the achievements of someone like Caitlin Clark felt not only unjust, but deeply misinformed. The uproar that followed raised significant questions about the biases present in sports commentary, particularly in the coverage of women's sports.
All I gotta say is she's lucky this UConn team isn't healthy. And that's a true statement.
That's wrong, Molly.
Monica?
That's wrong, Molly. Molly, it's excuses.
5 top players,
it's excuses,
am I right?
Molly. It's excuses.
Major injuries.
You would not be saying that if it wasn't UConn.
Major stars not playing.
Listen, excuse me, it's her against Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A.
Ain't no excuses.
Stephen
you
A.
got there. Don't want to hear that now.
Stephen A.
Let me tell you, if Georgetown
Beckers,
get back in the mix, I'm going to be insufferable. I'm just telling you that now.
What?
If Paige Beckers didn't basically miss 2 seasons, I don't know if we'd be talking about Caitlin Clark the way we are now.
Caitlin Clark first made waves during her college basketball career, where her performance on the court was nothing short of spectacular. She quickly became a household name, not just for her scoring ability, but for her incredible basketball IQ, her playmaking skills, and her leadership on the court. Clark was a standout at the University of Iowa, where she consistently led her team to victories and set numerous records along the way. Her ability to hit deep three-pointers, create scoring opportunities for her teammates, and perform under pressure made her one of the most exciting players to watch. Many analysts and fans began to compare her to some of the all-time greats in women's basketball, and it seemed inevitable that she would make an immediate impact in the WNBA. However, despite her stellar college career, Caitlin Clark faced an uphill battle when it came to gaining respect from some corners of the sports media. This brings us to Molly Qerim's controversial remarks, which not only downplayed Clark's abilities, but also highlighted a larger issue within the way women's sports are covered by major media outlets. When Molly Qerim took to the airwaves to voice her opinion on Caitlin Clark, she didn't hold back. Qerim claimed that players like Clark were not truly adding value to the WNBA, but were instead drawing attention to the sport for the wrong reasons. According to Qerim, Caitlin Clark's massive fan base and media attention were more about her marketability than her talent on the basketball court. She went as far as to suggest that Clark's presence in the league was a mockery of the women's game, implying that she wasn't talented enough to be considered one of the best players in the WNBA. Although such controversy around her name, Caitlin has continued to do her thing out on the pitch, breaking records, and goes around with so much aura, refusing to listen to analysts, and instead is so classy with everything she does. Caitlin refuses to get caught up with what people have to say about her, and instead lets her talking play out with the ball. These comments were not only harsh, but also seemed to dismiss the hard work and dedication that Caitlin Clark had put into becoming the player she is today. For a young player like Clark, who had proven herself time and time again, hearing such public criticism from a prominent figure in sports media had to be disheartening. But more than just a personal attack on Clark, Qerim's comments reflected a deeper issue: the tendency for certain media personalities to downplay the achievements of female athletes, even when those athletes are breaking records and setting new standards of excellence in their respective sports. One of the points that Molly Qerim harped on was the idea that Caitlin Clark was merely drawing attention to the WNBA without actually contributing to the overall quality of play. This assertion is not only misleading, but also fails to recognize the positive impact that players like Clark have on growing the league. The WNBA has long struggled to attract the same level of attention as its male counterpart, the NBA. This is not due to a lack of talent or skill among the players, but rather a combination of societal biases and a lack of proper media coverage when a player like Caitlin Clark enters the league and begins to draw in new fans. It should be seen as a positive development for women's basketball to Clark's ability to bring more eyes to the game through both her on-court performance and her off-court appeal is precisely what the league needs to continue growing and gaining respect on a larger scale. Kareem's comments, however, seem to frame this increased attention as a negative, as though the WNBA was somehow being cheapened by the presence of a player who could attract more viewers. This perspective ignores the reality that in professional sports, viewership and marketability are crucial to the success and sustainability of a league. If Caitlin Clark is helping to bring more fans to the WNBA while also performing at an elite level, she is doing exactly what the league needs in order to thrive. Another aspect of Molly Karam's criticism that sparked outrage was her stance on Caitlin Clark's exclusion from Team USA. Despite her impressive college career and undeniable talent, Caitlin Clark was not selected to represent the United States in international competition. While this decision raised eyebrows among many fans, Karam openly supported it, expressing satisfaction that Clark had been left off the roster. Although getting left out, Clark remained humble and realized how hard a task it is to play in the Olympics with USA and revealed she will continue to improve and hope to get selected for 2028. Again, she oozes aura.
Yeah, I think I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold. I was a kid that grew up watching the Olympics. So, it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. It's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Kareem's reasoning was that Clark simply wasn't good enough to compete at the international level, a claim that many found baffling given Clark's dominant performances in the NCAA. Tio suggests that a player of Clark's caliber didn't belong on Team USA seemed not only misguided but also indicative of a deeper bias against her. For Kareem to publicly celebrate Clark's exclusion felt like an unnecessary attack on a young player who was already facing an uphill battle for recognition in the professional ranks, as is often the case. In the best way to silence critics is through performance, and Caitlin Clark has done just that. In the wake of Kareem's harsh comments and her exclusion from Team USA, Clark has continued to let her game do the talking. Her performances in the WNBA, particularly against top teams like the Chicago Sky and the Los Angeles Sparks, have been nothing short of spectacular. In these games, Clark showcased the full range of her abilities, from her scoring prowess to her playmaking skills to her ability to elevate the play of her teammates. She not only led her team to victories, but did so in a manner that left no doubt about her talent. Triple-doubles, game-winning shots, and clutch performances have become a regular occurrence for Clark, and her stats speak for themselves. It wasn't long before Molly Karam began to change her tune. After witnessing Clark's incredible performances, Karam publicly walked back some of her earlier comments, claiming that she had never truly doubted Clark's talent. She went on to praise Clark as one of the best players in the league, a stark contrast to her earlier statements. While it's commendable that Karam eventually recognized Clark's abilities, the sudden shift in opinion raised questions about the credibility of her initial critique. Molly Karam's flip-flop on Caitlin Clark is not an isolated incident. It is part of a larger issue within the media landscape, particularly when it comes to coverage of women's sports. Too often, analysts and commentators are quick to make bold, sweeping judgments about players without fully understanding their abilities or the nuances of the game. In Clark's case, the initial dismissal of her talent was not only unfair but also indicative of a broader problem in how female athletes are covered.
Let's be honest with ourselves. If you want to vote for Angel Reese, just be honest for the reason why you're voting for her. Caitlin Clark leads all rookies in pretty much every statistic except rebounding. And Angel Reese is a big, and she should be beating most people in rebounds, but you escape the fact that she's collecting 2 or 3 of her own missed layups and hoarding those rebounds. Caitlin Clark has turnovers because her teammates are fumbling the ball. And yes, she does mismanage the ball at times, but people act like she's just giving the ball up every possession. Caitlin Clark affects the entire game. So if you're making a basketball decision, then Caitlin Clark is easily the Rookie of the Year. And if you want to vote for Angel Reese or you say Angel Reese is Rookie of the Year, that's cool too. Just be honest about the reason why you think so.
Inconsistency in analysis is damaging not just to the players, but to the credibility of the league. As a whole, when media personalities change their opinions so frequently, it creates a sense of instability and undermines the legitimacy of the sport. Fans are left wondering whether these analysts truly know what they're talking about, or if they're simply saying whatever will generate the most buzz or fit the narrative of the moment. This is particularly harmful in a league like the WNBA, which is still fighting for the recognition it deserves. When analysts make ill-informed or biased comments, it can hurt the league's efforts to be taken seriously as a major professional sports organization. For players like Caitlin Clark, who are working tirelessly to elevate the level of competition and bring more fans to the game, such inconsistent analysis is not only frustrating, but also detrimental to the sport's growth. One of the reasons Molly Karam's comments were so damaging is that analysts and commentators play a significant role in shaping public perception of athletes and sports leagues. In the case of the WNBA, where the league is still fighting for mainstream recognition, the way players are portrayed in the media can have a huge impact on how they are perceived by the general public. When a prominent figure like Karam makes bold, unfounded claims about a player like Caitlin Clark, it influences how casual fans view that player. If fans hear that Clark is merely a marketing tool and not a legitimate talent, they may be less inclined to watch her play or support the league. This is why it's so important for analysts to be accurate and fair in their assessments, especially in a league like the WNBA where every fan counts. Moreover, when analysts like Karam reverse their opinions so quickly, it can create confusion among fans. If one day Caitlin Clark is being dismissed as a mockery of the game, and the next day she's being hailed as one of the best players in the league, it's hard for fans to know what to believe. This inconsistency can erode trust in the media and make it difficult for fans to fully engage with the league.